Okay, so let's just dive right in. We are putting ourselves in this room. It's the tough shit, but you still can't drink group in Braintree, Massachusetts.
Not exactly a gentle, welcoming space.
No, not at all. This is one of the most notoriously difficult, chain smoking, hard knocks AA meetings in the whole Boston area. And right at the podium, completely exposed, is Don Gately.
And he's a huge guy, 10 months clean.
10 months. And this is a really high stakes moment for him.
It is, because he's up there trying to talk about his struggle with the third step. For 10 solid months, he's stayed sober, but he feels like a complete and utter failure on the spiritual side of things.
That's the part where you're supposed to turn your will and your life over to a higher power, right? God, as you understand him.
Exactly. And our whole deep dive today is to really just unpack Gately's total frustration with this, the shame, the fear. It's a genuine crisis for him right now.
So he starts off just laying it all bare, his total spiritual emptiness. He actually confesses his shame that he has no real solid understanding of a higher power.
Which is, that's the central promise of AA. You get to choose your own God, you define it. But for him, that freedom is paralyzing.
Totally. He's so lost. He actually wishes the old-timers, the white flag crocodiles, would just drop all the principles and give him blunt and dogmatic orders.
He wants rules, not freedom. And it really highlights this crucial difference you see in recovery. Gately's looking around the room. He sees people who already had some kind of religious background.
The Catholics, the fundamentalists.
Right. They came in maybe wrestling with a stern and punishing type God, but the program let them sort of soften that image.
They could transition it to a loving, forgiving, nurturing type God. For them, it was an upgrade, a relief.
And they feel this incredible gratitude. But Gately, he had nothing to upgrade. He started with a total vacuum.
He started at zero. So trying to, as he puts it, invent a higher powerish God from scratch is it's impossible for him. He doesn't know how to build belief out of nothing.
And that's why the only thing that's worked for him for 10 months is this routine he absolutely hates.
The rote routine.
Every single morning, he gets on his knees and asks for help. Every night, he gets on his knees and says thank you. And he admits he does this whether he believes he's talking to anybody or not.
He just does it because it's the one thing that seems to work. He gets through the day clean.
He feels so lame doing it. He calls it limp and lame.
Yeah, and he has these incredible metaphors for it. He pictures himself as a rat in a maze, just taking the one path that leads to the cheese easement sobriety.
Or that other one, the superstitious baseball player.
Oh, yeah. The hitter who refuses to change his unwashed athletic supporter during a hitting streak. He's terrified that changing any part of the routine will break the spell.
It's pure desperation, disguised as a ritual. It feels like superstition to him because there's no emotional buy-in.
Yeah.
And the real problem starts when he tries to move past that, to find some kind of genuine faith.
That's when the panic sets in. When he actually tries to sincerely pray or meditate, he feels something much worse than just nothing. He says it's nothing, not nothing but nothing, an edgeless blankness.
Wow, that's not just an absence, that's a presence of absence. It's suffocating.
It's terrifying. He imagines his prayers, his brainwaves or whatever, just radiating out into space, going and going.
Never hitting anything out there.
And then his thoughts just spiral, right? If there's nothing out there, there's definitely nothing with an ear. And even if there was something with an ear, why would it give a rat's ass about him?
And that thought, that his deepest plea is just dissolving into a cold void, he says it makes him want to puke from fear.
I mean, think about how vulnerable that is. He's saying stuff he wouldn't have fucking ever dared tell ferocious Francis man to man.
And Francis is his sponsor. He's sitting right there in the audience.
And Gately can't even look at him. The shame is just too much. He's basically admitting that the core principle of the program, the one thing that's supposed to save him, is completely failing him.
Which is what makes the reaction from the crowd so stunning.
Yeah. Right. This is the tough chain-smoking TSBYSCD group. Over half of them are bikers and biker chicks. You'd think they'd be the most cynical people in the world.
And yet, when he finishes this raw confession of failure, they all get to their feet.
And they don't just clap. It's wild applause, two-finger whistles. People are coming up to him, pumping his hand, hugging him, telling him to keep coming.
They're not validating success. They're validating his honesty. His struggle is the realest thing in that room.
It's this incredible moment of paradoxical grace. But Gately is still reeling when we get the next scene, outside, with all the choppers.
Oh yeah, the sensory overload. He's outside with the other speakers, and this huge car-length chopper pulls up.
Yeah.
And the driver is this biker, Robert F., but his vest just says Bobby Death.
The description of this guy is just amazing. He's Gately's size, huge, but he has a small head and a tapered jaw.
Like a handsome mantis.
Exactly. Leather spats, no shirt, and he's got the AA triangle tattooed on his shoulder, a jailhouse tat, and of course there's a biker chick holding on behind him.
And you get this weird clash. Right. A guy who looks like that, using all the AA jargon.
It's weird, yeah. He leans over his idling hog and tells Gately he appreciated his share and how he spoke from the heart about the God component.
It's the language of surrender coming from someone who looks like pure menace.
And then, ignoring this other guy, Glenn K., Bob Death just delivers this perfect little story, a truth bomb.
He tells the fish story. He shouts over the engine. This wise old whiskery fish swims up to 3 young fish and goes, "Morning, boys, how's the water?" and swims away.
And the 3 young fish watch him swim away and look at each other and go, "What the fuck is water?"
And that's it. He just smiles, gives this affable shrug, and blats away on his bike.
Leaving Gately just standing there, completely floored. The simplicity of it just cuts through all his complex spiritual agony.
And the emotional fallout from that hits him hard on the ride home. He's in the car with Francis. His forehead is wrinkled in emotional pain. The car itself is just full of the messy reality of recovery. Dickie Ann and Glenn K., Francis's oxygen tank.
And Gately is so churned up inside, he wants to both cry and hit somebody.
That's the collision, right? The pain of this new awareness versus the old urge to just numb it all with violence or something.
And that pain is the actual breakthrough. He realizes something AA never really tells you up front.
That's that.
That getting better happens through pain. Not around pain or in spite of it. They sell you on gratitude and release from compulsion.
But they kind of omit the part about the serious pain in being sober.
Exactly. But now the old-timers are telling him this pain is good, the sober pain means you're going somewhere, unlike
the repetitive gerbil wheel of addictive pain, which went absolutely nowhere.
Right, and this leads to the big psychological reveal. After about 6 to 8 months, when the chemical stuff is gone, you start to get in touch with why you used in the first place.
The substances weren't the problem, they were the solution. They were an anesthetic.
And that phrase, getting in touch with your feelings, it sounds so cheesy, like something on a throw pillow.
But Gately realizes now that this empty cliche is masking something ghastly, deep and real. The anesthetic is gone, and the patient is waking up on the operating table.
And the ghastly reality is his childhood. Around 8 months clean, these memories started to just flood in, things he was barely even present for the first time.
It started when he was about to mow the lawn at Enid House.
Yeah. And the memories are of his mother, definitely an alcoholic. She drank Stolichnaya vodka with cut-up vegetables in it, called it her comrade in arms.
A brutal history there. His biological father, Bulat, broke her jaw and left before Gately was even born.
Her whole life just spiraled. Cirrhosis for years. She turns this deep yellow of quality squash, has a cirrhotic hemorrhage, and Gately realizes he hasn't seen her in a decade, can't even face going to the Medicaid facility to explain himself.
But the real trauma, it's not just the neglect, it's the violence. Her live-in boyfriend was a former Navy MP.
A brig guard.
And he would beat her on a regular schedule. It wasn't rage, it was calculated. He would time the blows between groin and breast so that nothing showed.
The image is just, it's chilling. The MP is on one knee with a look of great concentration, as if he were taking something delicate apart or putting it together.
While she tries to shoo them away, like she was beating out flames.
And you see how this shaped Gately. He watched this brutal, calculated control his whole life. No wonder he wants dogmatic orders.
And his own survival routine as a kid, maybe 10 or 11 years old.
Yeah.
It was pure tactics.
His job was to monitor. He'd pretend to watch TV, but he was really tracking 2 things: how close his mom was to passing out and how much vodka was left in the bottle.
And as soon as she was out, he'd make his move, take the bottle, drink some, mixing the first few with Diet Coke.
And then just straight. He was self-medicating before he was a teenager.
But the most twisted part of that whole routine is what he didn't drink. He always left enough for her wake-up swallow.
Yeah, and he told himself it was a kindness, a good son. But now, sober, he realizes it was just self-interest. If she couldn't have her morning drink, she wouldn't buy a new bottle that night.
And his own supply would be cut off. He was protecting his own anesthetic.
And this is all happening alongside these fractured, messed up attempts at affection. Sober, she called him Bimmy, for big, indestructible moron.
But when she was drunk, she'd call him her Doshka, or her good sir knight, and then she'd beg him not to hit her anymore.
Confusing him with her abuser, just devastating.
And the final piece that connects all this trauma to his present is this childhood fantasy he had. He misheard his mother's diagnosis, cirrhosis,
And thought it had to do with King Arthur. So he created this character for himself, Sir Osis of the Liver.
and now, as an adult, when he's mopping floors, the sound of the mop, clop, 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 it brings that whole fantasy back. The sound of his escape.
So after this confession at Braintree, after digging all this up, his dreams change. He doesn't dream of fighting anymore. He dreams he's under a sort of sea at terrific depths, the water all around him silent and dim.
Which brings us right back to the beginning.
Exactly. His struggle with the higher power, that feeling of nothing, an edgeless blankness.
Is a direct reflection of the emotional void he had to create to survive his childhood.
Yeah.
The anesthetic is gone, and he's finally feeling the crushing silence and depth of that reality.
The spiritual problem and the psychological trauma are the exact same thing. He can't connect to a higher power because his entire life is about learning how to disconnect from everything just to stay alive.
Which is why that biker's parable is so brilliant and so painful. Bob Death asks, what the fuck is water? Gately's despair, this sober pain, this nothingness that is the water. It's the new reality he's swimming in.
He may see it as a terrifying void, but for the first time, he's actually feeling the pressure and the depth of his own existence.
And maybe that's the ultimate truth here, feeling that pressure, that pain, that terrifying blankness. That is the connection. His ability to finally feel the fear instead of numbing it, that's the spiritual opening he could never invent for himself, even if he can't call it God.
So the provocative thought to leave you with is this. If Gately's sobriety means he's finally feeling the water he's in, what does it mean that the thing we try hardest to avoid, our deepest pain, might be the only real path to a profound spiritual connection?
Maybe feeling the pressure is the entire point.